This is J. Krishnamurti's fourth public discussion in Saanen, 1964.
What shall we talk about this morning? What's that? The gentleman wants to talk about consciousness. What do you mean by character?
Simplicity.
Is clear, madam?
Simplicity.
Huh?
Simplicity.
Simplicity. No, that's enough. Let's hold on to it. Consciousness, character, and simplicity. About reincarnation? I did. They heard it quicker than I did, sir. What was that, sir? Reincarnation? This? Huh? Desire. I think what you said is more or less so, but shall we go all over it again?
No, sir, I just want to, as I say, completely clarify the mind.
Please clear what, madam?
The definition of what thought actually is.
Oh, but I thought we did that yesterday.
We did, sir. And I give a lot of attention to it.
Perhaps we'll come to it in a different way, madam. We'll come to it. Shall we take up that, what is consciousness? Simplicity and character. What is consciousness, character, and simplicity? Shall we discuss that? What is consciousness? And when are we aware that we are conscious? We can't discuss consciousness abstractly, surely. We must begin, mustn't we, with what we know, and not speculate about consciousness. So we're asking ourselves, when are we conscious? In the sense we are aware. Aware in which there is the process of recognition, the interplay of various responses of memories. These memories sustained and given continuance, and in that consciousness there is obviously the conscious as well as the hidden. And in that consciousness there is this whole question of dream state and the waking state. And also in that consciousness there are many, many limitations, restrictions. And also in it, is there not, the whole question of time, the past, the present and future. So consciousness is a rather complex problem, isn't it? So let us begin very simply. When are we conscious? Partially or totally? Can we ever be totally conscious? Or are we always partially conscious? Conscious being giving complete, total attention, awareness, intensity, and the capacity of complete focusing all energy on a particular challenge and response. Am I making that too complex? So I'm just asking, when are we conscious? Partially or totally? Please, this is a discussion. You're not waiting for me to answer.
How to be conscious of everything
No.
together?
Oh, madam. The lady asked how to be conscious of everything at one moment. We are not asking that now. We are saying, we are asking, what is it to be conscious? Partially or totally? Is there not a difference between being conscious and consciousness? This is getting wrong. The content of consciousness and the thing that holds consciousness and the boundary or the state that holds consciousness. Is that it? You don't mean content.
I mean a state of consciousness. A state of consciousness, not of being conscious of something.
I'm afraid I can't hear.
When you're conscious of something, then you are separated from something. But when you're in a state of consciousness,
When you are conscious of something, you are separated from that something. And I can't hear. In a state of consciousness, there is no separation. I'm afraid this is getting a little beyond me.
May I ask you to explain a little more what is core consciousness? When I see that I'm quite not understood.
Will you please explain
What is consciousness?
what is consciousness? That's what we are. I don't know. We are going into it.
Come to your question, certainly the operation of the senses are part of the answer as
Yes, sir. Part of the response of the senses is part of consciousness, obviously. That's why I'm asking, sir, a very simple question. When are you and I conscious?
As an accident.
When there is pain, when there is pleasure, sensory or non-sensory, right? Sensory pleasure, sensory pain. Then that reaction makes us come to our senses, right? You put a pin into me and I react. Then at that moment of pain, I am conscious. That is, my nerves, all the rest of it, send electric currents and so on to the brain, and I respond as pain, and I become what is called conscious, right? Would we accept that? That's right. Sometimes we are partly half asleep, sometimes we are totally awake, and so on, so on, so on. So I'm just asking myself, when am I and you are conscious? Partly or wholly? Either when there is a great deal of pain or little pain, or great deal of pleasure or little pleasure, or when there is a crisis, great or little, or when there is a challenge which demands my attention, then I respond to that challenge partially or inadequately or totally. And also, when my conditioning is challenged by the present, my condition being my tradition, my nation, and so on, so on, so on, when that is challenged, I respond either with pain or with delight. All that is what we call being partly or partially, not or adequately conscious, right? Do we agree to this? I am not, please don't agree with me. I am not defining. I don't like definitions. And then you make me stick to that definition, say you said so. So I'm asking myself, this state of consciousness is really when I have to make an effort, pleasurable or painful. Otherwise, I am asleep. I have closed my eyes, as it were. Right? So when I have to make an effort, to respond to a challenge. That effort, depending on my energy, on my background, on my condition, on my state of health, that giving out of energy to a challenge makes me conscious at the moment, right? Isn't that so? Then, what takes place in that state? That is, you challenge me and I respond. Then I become conscious, partially or totally or whatever it is. Now I'm asking myself, what takes place in that burst of energy? Is it a partial burst or a total burst? Or is the unconscious or the subconscious or the deeper layers of consciousness asleep, dormant, only the conscious mind responding? Am I making myself clear? So there is a total response only when my whole of my consciousness, whole of it, the conscious, the unconscious, all the background, everything responds totally, and therefore adequately. Right? So, I generally, as it happens, depending upon the challenge, I respond superficially, right? Respond according to my superficial, conscious, educated state of my mind. I think this is fairly clear. This is what we generally do. Now, unless the unconscious cooperates entirely with the conscious, there is bound to be a division and therefore a partial response, obviously. Right, sirs? So, to give a total response to a great challenge is my problem, isn't it? I know I can respond partially. That's fairly easy. But when there is a demanding, intense and instantaneous challenge, unless I respond with my whole of consciousness, there is a contradiction. And out of that contradiction comes effort, pain, and all the rest of it. So I have to find out what the total content of my unconscious is, right? Is this all right? Am I going along sensible lines? Yes? There must be some psychiatrists and psychologists here. Won't they stop me if I'm going off the beam? Well, I look to them anyhow. They'll tell me quick enough. So now I am on the track of understanding the total content of my unconscious, right? I know I can respond partially with the conscious mind, with the so-called educated, technological, the mind that is always active on the surface, right? I can respond to that, with that, or that response. Then we are now trying to find out what is this unconscious. Right? Is this clear? What is the unconscious? Not theories, not what the psychologists say, not what all the Freudians, the Jungians, the Adlers, the recent discovery, none of that. I want to find out for myself. You follow? And you are going to do the same with me. But together we're going to find out. But if you begin to quote Freud or Jung or Patanjali and so on, so on, so on, I won't, as I have not read any of them, I shan't be able to meet you, right? Right? Now I want to find out what the unconscious is and why people have given such extraordinary importance to it. In modern world, the unconscious has become almost a god, with all its priests, the analysts, and so on, so on. So I am asking myself, what is this unconscious? And why do we apparently give such extraordinary importance to it? I don't know if, am I right? Now what is this unconscious? Is it something very mysterious? Something holy or unholy? Something that has to be approached with great trepidation, fear, anxiety? Or is it something that one can find out very, very easily? Am I making, right? Shall I go on?
Yes.
Please, I am talking. I don't know if you're not discussing with me. All right, I'll go on. You can trip me up. I see, no, I won't say I see. Consciousness is the whole of it. Conscious as well as the unconscious, the whole of it, with its content and the cup that holds the content, right? Am I me? The whole of it, the conscious as well as the unconscious, the content of it and the cup it is held in, all that is time. The gentleman says he doesn't understand what is being said. I'm going to go into it, sir. I'm going to go, let me explore, unravel it. You follow? Don't stop at the first word. There's a lot to explain, lot to go into. I am exploring, you understand? I may use wrong word or wrong phrase, but let it go and come. So, the whole of consciousness, the content of it, and the borders, the periphery, the external expressions of it, the cup in which it is held, as it were, is of time. Right? Now, wait a minute. And we are examining the unconscious, and the unconscious is time, is the past. Right? That is the past, which is the known. You may be unconscious of it, but it's still the known. Right? I have a long tail behind me, or a long tail story behind me, of which I may be unconscious, but it is there. And it is something that I can look, understand, observe, go into. It is not something mysterious. Right? So, it is something known and not something mysterious. Therefore, to be frightened of, to be avoided, to be kind of worshipped. Right? Now, what is this thing that is the unconscious? It is the yesterday. The many incidents of yesterday. The many subtle influences of yesterday. I'm taking only yesterday, not 10,000 yesterdays, but yesterday, 24 hours ago. There, into the conscious and as well as into the unconscious, various influences have poured in, various challenges and responses. Right? And those responses depended on day before yesterday. And day before yesterday depended on day before yesterday. Obviously. Right, sir? So, I see that the unconscious is the residue of many thousand yesterdays. Right? Are you challenging me or are you asking anything? Right. And that's my unconscious, in which is not only all the racial influences as the Brahman. You know the Brahman, what the Brahman is, doesn't matter. All that is in it. With all the tradition, with all the superstition of thousands and thousands of years. You must not. This is right, this is wrong. The peculiar influence, traditions, the demands of a particular state of mind which was called the Brahman. Right? All that is me, the past. That is the racial accumulation, the family, the group, the family, the upbringing, and so on and on and on and on and on. All that is the unconscious. Right, sirs? Huh? So, what has happened now is there is the conscious with which I function, go to the office, and there is the whole unconscious. There is a division. Or rather, there is a relationship between the conscious as well as the unconscious, of which we are not completely aware. I won't even call it a division, right? There is a relationship between the past and the conscious mind. And as I mostly function on the conscious level, not taking into consideration the whole of the past, and as I don't want to take into consideration the past. It's too much. So I just carry on the surface, right? Then what happens? The unconscious, which is the past with all the racial, national, family, collective knowledge, storehouse, that wants to tell the conscious something, right? And the conscious has no time because it's too occupied. You're occupied with the worries of the present, of the wife, the children, the office, the insults, the boredom, the anxiety of old age, and so on, so on, so on. Then what happens? I sleep, the mind rests quietly. It is never quiet, but there is somewhat quiet when it goes to bed. Then there is an intimation through dreams of that which is of the past, right? Is that right, sirs? Huh? Not right, it said. What is not right, sir?
I think it's more or less now that you can dream of things that are not
Wait. The gentleman says we can dream of something that's going to happen. No, wait, sir. First let me understand the past. What's going on? And I dream, which is the intimation of the past, which through various symbols, pictures, and so on, which we call dreams, I wake up in those dreams. And those dreams have to be translated. Those dreams can be the dreams of the past or of the future. Now, this is also trivial. Intimations of the past or intimation of the future. Right? I think this is childish psychology, isn't it, sir? Right. And those dreams have to be interpreted. And I don't know how to interpret a dream. Though they're the specialists, the new priests I go to. And they tell me, look, so and so and so and so and so. And I keep the dreams, more I pay attention to those dreams, the more I dream. I don't know if you're following all this. The more I give importance to every dream, to every nuance, to every landscape that it evokes and so on, the greater the dreams, the greater the importance of those dreams. Because now I am bringing all the unconscious, as much of it as possible, through the conscious as a dream, right? We know that process, right? We agree? I say to myself, what is the necessity, please listen, what is the necessity of dreaming at all? Because, please listen, this constant dreaming is a disturbance. Isn't it? Because the mind is never still. The brain is always active, even though it's in bed. With its responses, with its movements. I believe the body moves about 70, 80 times round and round in a bed. So, when there are all these dreams going on, the mind and the brain cells are never quiet. Right? Please follow all this. Are you? So I say to myself, is there a way not to dream at all? You understand my question? Not the importance of dreams, according to Freud, Jung, and all the rest of the big business men, but I want to find out if it is possible not to dream at all. Except, of course, the dreams when you have overeaten or when you are overtired and all the rest of it, we can brush those aside. So that the mind and the brain, when it goes to bed, it is absolutely at rest. So that when it wakes up, the mind and the brain are fresh and not agitated, worn out with dreams, with all the rest of it. You get my question? All right, sir. I am talking, you're listening. What is important now is to find out if the mind and the brain, when it goes to bed, can be completely quiet. I'll go into it. You will see how important it is that it should be quiet. Otherwise it can't renew itself. Right? Otherwise it cannot become fresh, young, innocent. You please talk, I'll take a little rest now. Is it possible to find another way for the unconscious, not through dreams, to give its intimation while you are awake? You're going to say something?
I think it is fear that makes us want to find out what is
The lady says she thinks it is fear that keeps the dreams going.
and that makes us want to find out the symbolism, the meaning of it.
It's fear that wants us to find out what the dreams are about. Wait, I don't want to dream.
It sometimes happens that without interpreting a dream at all, a dream can...
Yes, quite right, sir. I don't know if it has happened to you, while the dream is going on, there is the interpretation of the dream at the same time. Is that what you're saying? That's right. But you see, you are not meeting my point. I know this whole process of dreaming, interpretations when you awake, and also the dreams which, as they are occurring, the interpretation is going on. There is an understanding of the dreams as you're going along. We know, if you have played with all that, you know it. My question is not why we dream. I'll explain that presently. Why we dream, obviously we know why we dream. And the interpretations of those dreams. In the Bible it takes place, and modern and so on, so on, so on. And my question is not how to interpret a dream or why we should dream, but I say to myself, what is important? What is important is that the brain, when it goes to bed, should be completely be quiet. Quite right, sir. That's right. So my question is it possible for the brain, when it goes to bed, to be completely at rest? Because if it is not at rest, when it wakes up, it is already tired. It is not fresh. There is no dew on it. It is still carrying on with the yesterday's movement. Right? You are following all this. So I say to myself, that's all wrong. Even though the analysts give importance to dreams and so, I say that the whole dreaming process is not a restorative process. So I say to myself, is it possible not to dream at all? Is that...
I think when you are very busy in the daytime, the conscious mind is busy. At night, you begin to dream.
Yeah, but that's all explained.
Yes, but when there's a moment in the daytime, when you're quiet, conscious mind, then you may have a flash of intuition.
We're coming to that, madam. You're not... Don't... But you see, you are ahead of me already. Because you are not following it inside yourself. To you, it is not important that the brain must be completely quiet.
Sir, I'm far behind you because I'm thinking that my brain cannot be completely quiet until I don't understand deeply my subconscious.
I am doing it, sir, for the love of Pete, listen
No,
to
you
me.
haven't. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't been talking.
Since
Madam, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. Please have little patience.
since there are all these definitions, and the whole time, is it possible, and I say it is possible, to have complete attention?
I am going, if you will quietly listen, sirs, do have a little patience. For me, what is important is when the brain goes to bed, that it should be completely at rest. That's a necessity, as hunger. You follow, sir? As food, as air, as exercise. That's absolute necessity for me. If it is necessary, if you see the importance of that absolute quietness when it goes to bed, then we can begin to look around and see how it is possible or not possible. I don't know if you're meeting my point.
To have no problems left.
Baby, sir, Sir, you don't see the importance of what is being said. You're trying to answer. You don't see the importance of a mind, a brain, that when it goes to bed, that it is quiet. Because you will see in a minute, if you'll go into it a little further, that there are further states which the conscious mind can never reach, and it can only be reached when the mind and the brain are completely quiet in bed. Don't translate it as astral and all the nonsense. Well, do you see the importance of a brain that be quiet when it goes to bed? Right. Now, how is it to be done? Sir, give a little space between the question and the answer. You're all so quick to find out. You haven't taken, absorbed, digested the question. You're ready to answer the question. Please give me 2 minutes, and then I will stop and you can ask me. First, the whole of consciousness, its content, and the boundaries in which it is held, is of time. The conscious, which is the educated, the technological, the present mind of the modern man, is occupied with the everyday activities, going to the office, and so on, so on, so on. Then the unconscious is still related to it, though the conscious is so occupied. There is no division between the unconscious and the conscious. There is no division. And the unconscious, when the conscious is quiet, somewhat quiet, puts forth its intimation, hints, and they become the dreams. And the whole turmoil of dreams, pleasant or unpleasant. And with all the necessity of interpretations and so on, all that we know. Then I ask myself, you haven't asked yourself, I am asking myself. That is it possible not to dream at all? Though the analysts say it is not possible. So I say, how is it? I see also how important it is for the mind, for the brain, for the nerves to be completely quiet when it goes to bed and sleeps. I see the importance of it because when it wakes up, it is clear. It is not carrying over the burdens of yesterday. The worries, the turmoils, the anxiety, it is fresh and therefore able to meet the day that is to come with all the problems. And also I see that when the brain and the mind are quiet, when it is so-called sleeping, there is a further states in that sleep, of which you don't know, which we'll talk about when we have understood the first part of it. Nothing mysterious. So I'm asking myself, is it possible not to dream at all? I see how important it is not to dream. not as an idea, but factually. So I say, how is it possible not to dream? It is possible only when I am completely awake during the day. Right? When I see the river, when I see my children, my wife, the sky, the bus conductor, the boss, the insults, I'm completely aware all the time as I live during the day. Beg pardon? Wait. You're not paying attention to what is being said. You're not listening. You want to add. I'm going to add that presently. Please have patience. You understand my point now? As long as I am not awake during the day, awake in the sense, know all my responses, and the motives of those responses, the background of those responses, right? How I translate what I see, what I hear. When I read a newspaper, I get terribly excited because my country, my beloved politician, you follow? I am aware of all that all the time, an interplay. And also, when I am aware so completely, when I watch that color, that person, that the world, the insult, or when I am watchful, there are the intimations of the unconscious, which need not be waited till I go to bed. I don't know if you're following all this. So, a total awakened state of all round, not partially. Awaken to my petty desires, to my sexual demands, awake to my friends, enemies, or the boss, feelings, antagonisms, the desires, the hidden motives, the ambitions, the competitions, the fears, the whole of that. And they indicate my background. They indicate my unconscious. Right? It's fairly simple. Very simple when it's explained. But it is tremendously difficult to be watchful of this. Then what happens? If I'm so awake all the time, watching, attentive, and every reaction observed instantly, known how it arises, what is the motive of that, and facing facts, not sentiment. I don't know if you're following all this. Therefore, watching every reaction, and as you watch every reaction, you will know the unconscious background from which it springs. Right? And when you are doing all this, the unconscious is telling you. You should translate that experience in the terms of the past. And you know that is the intimation of the unconscious. So the whole of you is awake. You're watching all this? Listen.
May I say that without resistance and without taking an attitude?
Absolutely, of course. Without resistance and without taking an attitude. Obviously. If you take an attitude, if you resist, if you have evaluation, then you're lost. You're back again into the whole process of dreaming and all that business. You understand? For 12 or how many hours you are at it. You're watching. And therefore, not only the body, but the nerves, the mind, the cells of the brain become very sensitive. Either you go off the deep end, take tranquilizers, and become terribly neurotic and end up in a mental hospital, or you become extraordinarily sane, in which there is no shadow of neurosis. Right? And this state is righteousness. You understand? In this state there is no character. Character is only the mind or whatever it is that resists, that gives a peculiar quality, tendency to a human being. So this is all very simple. Right? Need we explain this? Huh? I need explain it?
No.
Thank God. So I see not how to keep awake during the day, but I see the importance, that's what I'm coming back, the importance of having no dreams at all, not suppressing dreams. That way the brain can keep young, fresh, so that when it goes to bed it has no problems. It has resolved the problems as they arise instantly, which is to face the problem, not interpret them, but to look at it without any fear, without any choice. Look at every fact as it arises, only fact, without sentiment, without emotion, without interpretation, or anything of that kind. Then you will see how trivial the conscious and the unconscious are. Sorry to use the word trivial. Because we waste our energy in trivialities. We waste our energy in the problems which are not solved by carrying them over the next day. And to solve the problems as they arise every day, instantly, needs energy. And you cannot have energy if you translate the problems. You understand what I mean by translate, interpret? Try to resolve it in a particular way, and so on. But if you look at the problem, the fact of the problem, not your sentiment about the problem or the opinion about the problem, if you look at that fact ruthlessly, without any sentiment, without any self-pity, then there is no wastage of energy. And when one has done this the whole day for 12, how many hours, whatever the hours be, then the mind and the brain are naturally tired. You understand? Naturally tired, not abnormally tired through neurotic process of carrying on problems. It is naturally tired, and when it goes to bed, it is rested. You follow? And if you have gone that far, when you go to sleep, when the brain is naturally, sweetly and easily tired, and therefore there are no dreams, because the dreams, which are the interpretations of the unconscious, that is being done when you are awake. Right? When you are awake, not when you are asleep. Then you will find I'm afraid that would be what I would say further would be a theory to you. And madam, don't shake your head. The lady doesn't understand what is being said. She didn't hear it. I said, when the brain is at rest, that is, when it is asleep, it is not asleep, it is resting. There are no resistances, no defenses, no evaluating process, no remembrances. You understand all? No recognizing process. Therefore, no projection of itself in that state, because you have settled all that while the waking state. So when the mind and the brains and the nerves are completely quiet, then are you waiting for me to tell you something? Yes? I'm sorry. I won't. Because you are then merely looking, expecting. Then you are not being serious at all. Then you want to be told something mysterious, romantic. Sorry. This is much too serious to play with. We are looking at ourselves as we are talking. If you are looking at yourself, and if you have gone that far, you will find out for yourself what is further. You will find out the state of innocency, the state of a mind that is completely free from all effort and corruption. That is, you must have that foundation completely. Not the foundation of goodness and all the rest of it. That's all too juvenile. But the state of the mind when it is completely quiet, that you must have. Then only it can go very far. Right, sir? Is that? I think that's fairly. Yes, sir.
Obviously, but what way?
What, sir?
I say, hopefully we're thinking together. And you asked the question as to whether or not it were possible to not dream at all. And then you made an extraordinary jump to see what you described to us.
The gentleman says, you first described all the business of the conscious and the dreams, and you made an extraordinary jump, he says. That is not to dream, right? I didn't make the jump. I pointed out to you step by step what is implied.
Yes, that's true. But then when you said, but then beyond that, after you stated the problem, then you saw and said to us that if one were 100% awake during the day, then there would be something else. But that jump.
No. I explained that too, sir. What it means to be awake during the day.
How did you come up with that answer?
Huh?
I'm sorry.
How did I come up with that answer?
We could never ask that question and see what you said there.
Of course not.
You didn't give us any in-between steps. How did you do it?
I don't know what you're talking about, sorry, sir. Look, it is fairly simple. Most people have, apart from physical dreams, most people have other kinds of dreams, right? And I say to myself, these dreams imply intimations, right? From the unconscious, all that business. And I say to myself, and these dreams need interpretations, all that. This maybe you may call this a jump, but it is not. But you say, why should I dream? We accept dreams as necessary and part of existence. I say to myself, why should I dream at all? Is it possible not to dream? And not to dream, I must know why I shouldn't dream also. I explain that. And so I say to myself, why should I dream at all? Is there a way of not dreaming? And there is a state of attention, obviously, if I can attend to every reaction, right? Every reaction. That is, and every reaction indicates the background, the unconscious storehouse from which it is responding, right? When the mind and the brain can do that, keep awake, then when I go to bed, there are no dreams. Because what is the necessity for a dream? Because the things are the unconscious is pouring its intimation all the time while I'm awake. Oh, my young. All right, sirs.